Yo, I just finished David Goggins' book called Can't Hurt Me. It was a phenomenal read for multiple reasons. Number one, so inspirational. Just hearing his story and hearing his challenges coming from nothing. He was abused as a kid. He was a failure at school. He was dyslexic. He had all these issues. And the way he eventually overcame them and then fell back, he regressed, and then stepped up one more time and conquered all his demons, really set himself up for success. It is just an incredible success story of someone who came from less than nothing and really succeeded in life, and especially physically. He is a specimen. He runs ultra marathons. He was a Navy SEAL, and he was overweight. He weighed like 300 pounds, and he had to transform himself from being a fat kid to, an athlete, a serious high-level athlete. And that's something I can't even relate to. I've just been athletic my whole life, and so I have way more respect for the guy since he had to work from, once again, less than nothing. And on top of that, throughout the book, not only is it just littered with inspirational stories and motivational stories of him overcoming these massive obstacles, like when he goes through Hell Week at Navy SEALs. That was probably one of my favorite chapters. Something about the grueling challenge of staying up for 130 hours straight, for the most part, and performing these horrendous physical tasks, rolling around the sand, chafing, freezing in the cold water of California in the wintertime. There was something about him going through that experience that made me think, God, I want this challenge. I want to do something gnarly and prove my own strength, my own strength of will, physical strength, capabilities. There's something that strikes a chord with me when I read about his crazy challenges that he's done. Even ultra marathon running, which never ever appealed to me. Now hearing him talk about how he ran 100 miles and he hadn't hardly trained for it at all. And mile 70, he starts to break down. His toenails are falling off. His limbs aren't working. He's getting all kinds of physical ailments. His shins are splinting. And through pure willpower, at the 70-mile marker, when he's got nothing, absolutely nothing left in the tank, he somehow manages to run more than a marathon's length in I forget what the time frame was, but he had to finish within a certain time frame. So it is just incredible what the human body is capable of. And reading his book, that's actually one of the lessons that he says. He calls it the 40% rule. When you feel like you've given everything you've got, everything, and your tank is empty, you're at about 40% of your maximum capacity, maximum abilities. So I love these rules that he's come up with to live his life, and just how much he has challenged himself beyond the point that most people would ever consider going. And so I get super inspired by that. And just his story in particular is amazing to read, and it inspires me. What I also loved about the book is throughout these challenges in his life, he learns something, and he actually shares and creates this creates a lesson out of the challenge he goes through, like the big takeaway. And he comes up with a very practical way to practice that lesson. And let's see, the last one was become uncommon amongst uncommon people. And that lesson arose from his days as a Navy SEAL. And he's hanging out with the most badass dudes around, these physical specimens that are not normal people. And even amongst that group of guys, he would leave them in the dust. They'd tap out and he'd keep going. Whether it was a physical task or more of a mental task, he was uncommon amongst these uncommon people. And one of his quotes is, it's easy to be a big fish in a small pond, but try being a wolf among wolves. I love that. And I want to surround myself with people that are on that level. And I also it just inspired me to become the best in whatever circle I'm in. So I've been coaching CrossFit for a long time, and I can get complacent at times. And hearing that made me be like, it like reignited the fire. It stoked the fire of, let's get better at this. And so those little lessons at the end of each chapter I thought were super valuable. And the entire way through, I was feeling motivated. It was like a great way to start my day by reading a chapter in this book. And so I got a huge amount of value just from that inspirational, motivational piece, from his lessons that he talks about at the end of each chapter. And I didn't want this book to end. It was phenomenal. And I think the big takeaway, and as someone who works out on a regular basis, this book has shifted my mentality towards training. Now I want to, when I feel the pain come on, I start to lean into it and just tell myself, yes, this is it. Now the reps are starting to count. This is when most people tap out. This is when you keep pushing. And we're tapping into that 45%, that 50% of my maximum capacity. So that was a big change in terms of my training. I'm starting to enjoy my training even more nowadays. And in the bigger picture of life, reading this book has just changed my perspective on, it's actually just changed me in that I find myself seeking out bigger challenges nowadays. I'll give you an example in my life right now. I'm hosting the Sunday class. It's called Sunday Fun Day. And the first component is workouts and games. And that's a place I'm very comfortable in, especially in this environment. I have my friends come in, we play games, and we work out. The second component is some self-improvement work and some goal setting. And the first week, I kind of just let it flow, and we dove into some of that goal setting, and I felt like we did some cool drills. They're not really drills. We used some cool strategies to create those goals and also understand their motivations, why we want them. And the second week, I didn't have one of my buddies there with me, so I was feeling a little less confident leading a group through the self-improvement goal-setting piece. And I thought maybe I got a read from the group that maybe people weren't as interested in that. And they were just interested in the workout. So I kind of did this half-hearted goal-setting piece. And after reading Goggins' book, I'm like, you know what? The challenge is, how can I deliver harder on the self-improvement goal-setting piece? Because I know it's extremely valuable for me. I need to make everyone in that room see it as well and latch onto it so that this is a special, unique, and extremely valuable experience for everyone that shows up. And I want this to be the most popular class that exists here at CrossFit Kuleana. So there you go. Those are some of the major takeaways I have from this book. I highly recommend it. And you know what? Click the Amazon affiliate link in the description if you would like to purchase a copy and support me. And that's it for today. Thank you, friends and family, since you're the only ones that watch my videos. I love you guys. Mwah. And give me a holla if you watch this video. And if you want to purchase that book, I would love to talk about it with you, either before you read it or after you read it. I had a great time the entire time. All right, shoots. I'll catch you guys on the flip.